looks like he's coming our way. Hopefully we can scare him away. Get to have a pause. Just rigging up something in the box of my truck. I've been bringing my own fuel out to the boat because out there they charge a frickin' arm and a leg. So I rigged up a 2x12 on edge that was wedged into a little indents on the inside of the box of my truck, so I could line up all my jerry cans in there and sandwich them in there and be dead solid. The logging road for a couple hours really moves them around. There's nothing. It's just kind of sucks driving down a logging road while it's piercing hot out, fire season, traveling with a bomb. One of the jugs started to leak from getting tumbled around. I got one of those box covers on the truck so you can't see what's going on. Anyway, bit of a babble. So I applied to go on the show alone. Am I stoked about it? Whatever. Happens, it happens. I don't think it's it's not a bucket list thing, that's for sure, but I've never watched the show. I watched a couple of clips, but I've never watched that show. So we were starting to look at it this morning, and we read a few of your comments on the video from last night, or this morning. We read some of your comments too. Entertaining comments. From what I gather, from what I know firsthand, I've taken, I don't know how many people into the middle of nowhere, and a lot of them quit. A lot of people quit on big game hunts. Because you gotta think of a guy from, say, I don't know, New York. I mean, we've had people from every state in the United States, every province. Well, not every province, a lot of them. A lot of people from around the world, for sure. You gotta think, man, when you go, I've spent time with a lot of these people in the States too, see how they live, where they work. And when you picture, I couldn't imagine what it must be like for real to be, say, some corporate guy, right? New York. Office job. Next, clean clothes, right? Pampered, not much exercise. Next thing you know, you're on a frickin' Super Cub. After traveling for, I don't know, how many hours to get up to the northern British Columbia or the Yukon or wherever. And now you're on a Super Cub getting dropped into a remote airstrip that was built by hand after horses taking people in there with the shovels to do it. And you're dropped off. Boom. There you are. With us. And that must be something else, right? But I've had a lot of guys quit. They just can't do it. I'm straight babble. I got too many thoughts in my brain at once, and I've already made it clear that my brain and my lips and my mouth don't mesh up perfectly at times. But what I have noticed is probably 99% of the people that quit when they come in the middle of nowhere with us is all because of weakness between the ears. Can't take it anymore. They can't hike up there. They can't do this, can't do that. They're terrified of bears or whatever. They won't admit it, but you can read them like a book. I've learned to read people. I have had to, because people were never honest about how they're feeling. They'll never be, very rarely are they honest about the discomfort they're in, how scared they are, whether or not they're really having fun. And I've had a lot of, what I'm saying is the majority of the people that quit is because of the weakness between the ears. Very rarely, but we have had injuries, obviously. We've had people getting bucked off a horse, landing on rocks, had people fall off a ledge, mountain sheep hunting, and smash their face in and stuff. But it's always between the ears, usually is why someone will quit from being in that element. It's funny. For the curious, for myself, the longest I have been in the woods in the middle of nowhere is, I think, around 120 days. We got food, obviously, got shelter, but it's not too much different than the show alone. I mean, I'm watching those clips this morning. Those guys made cabins, made shelters. Nothing spectacular there or challenging there, really. I mean, if you got forest, you got shelter. And it's just can you stay alone? Can you be by yourself? I can be by myself forever. It doesn't bother me the slightest. But 120 days is the longest I've gone. And on a single, I think one of the toughest things I ever did was 3 weeks and I believe around 150 miles on foot with myself, guiding a hunter. And a friend of mine, very A-type, from the deep south, not from the mountains. And we went through frickin' hell. The weather's the worst part. We went through the weather where we were, north, central, a little on the more western side of the province, and the weather was unbelievable. I think we lost, what did we lose? 10 days to weather or something like that. And my friend finally quit. We went. The hikes were frickin' unbelievable. And all you got is your backpack and your freeze-dried dog shit for food. And we get dropped off in a remote lake and given a bit of a description of a place we're trying to get to from the outfitter. And hike straight up a mountain through willow with no real trails. Then right up into those rocky peaks and over down a pass down to the very bottom of the next one through creeks over snowbanks, glaciers. Only to find out we went to the wrong draw. Then we got to double back a few miles through hell. And we almost made it to this one spot. Excuse me. This is week 3. This started snowing. Excuse me, and snowing and dumping. We got individual small tents. And finally the snow dropped about 2 feet, I think. 2 feet of snow dropped overnight and caved in my partner's tent. And he thought it was a grizzly bear. And that was the camel. That was the straw that broke the camel's back with him. He snapped. So that's it. I'm done. Out of here. Like, oh shit, because there's the mountain right there. And coincidentally, that mountain right there is the one that I went to. Last year, the year before, I took you guys with me. It was almost like a bit of a mission because I can't stand losing. I'm not competitive with other human beings, but I can't stand losing to myself. I can't. They are not words I allow. Right? And I always can try to encourage others to never say I can't, ever. And I needed to get that one back from that destination goal, and I got it back. And I made it there. And that's probably where I'm going to go again, maybe, this year. But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is for my history of being in discomfort is not a big deal to me. The time away, it's no problem at all. I think the only thing that would, and I was looking at, you have an item list they have to get on that show. They have these saws, axes, fire starter, bows, fishing gear. Man, come on. That pretty well basically says it right there. It isn't going to be about food or shelter. It's going to be about what's going on between your ears, if you're going to go bonkers or not. So, yeah, there you go. That's my history with being in the middle of nowhere. But it's different. It's different with what we do compared to, say, a show. What would I do? I'd focus on. See, when we're guiding, we are physically driving ourselves every day, all day. Huge hikes, big horseback rides for main camp, and then huge hikes or backpacking. Huge hikes, making camp on the side of a slope, on a mountain, in the rain, in the snow, in the fog. Trying to stay dry. Where meanwhile, and you're pounding out the calories, right? You're just gobbling them up. But meanwhile, what I observed with the show clips on that survival show, I guess it's called, we refer it to this morning, was you're not really burning out too many calories compared to what I'm normally used to doing. There's all sorts of things that I would do that would make it smooth. So why don't we do that? I'll share with you guys what I would do with my knowledge right now. It doesn't matter about the TV show. Let's just say you're stuck, plane crash, whatever. If I had snare cable, the first thing I would do is get snares out. That'd be the very first thing I did. Snares out, obviously shelter. A snare will kill anything. I always say if you could have something in your emergency kit, it would be a wolf snare. Steel cable snare. Those snares will kill every single animal you can come up with. Easily, efficiently, and very quickly. Seconds. You kill a moose with a snare. So right there, that would cut down on your calorie gobbling. Get the snares out, get your shelter done is what I would do. Okay, now you're allowed a bow and arrows. I saw that those guys were hunting and killing stuff. Piece of cake. So I would go far away from camp to do my hunting. moose, deer, whatever it is, you want to harvest your game away from your camp. Take the meat you need from it, bring it back, hang it up. Hang it up a little ways away from camp. But that kill site is going to be the number one attractor for grizzly bears. You want them over there. So, what else would I do? Build a shelter. Keep yourself entertained. Once you got your minimal shelter made to keep yourself entertained, I think I'd start building an elaborate frickin' accommodation. That would help your mind stay strong. And then just carry on. Hunting, creating, hiking, going and seeing things, staying dry. One thing that your number one enemy is getting wet. If you get wet, you're screwed. And I understand there's a handful of those people who are alone on Vancouver Island. Now keep in mind, in British Columbia, especially the closer to the coast, it has rained for 2 months straight. 2 months straight. Like last year it rained for a month straight. That's every single day raining. What are you gonna do? Right? That would be challenging if you got wet. If you got wet, you are screwed. Funny thing too is when your feet get wet, when you're in the middle of nowhere, when your feet get wet, the rest of your body loses it. Everything follows your feet. It's really bizarre. Your feet get wet, you get the chill from hell going through your whole soul. Your feet get frozen, you get frozen. In the same temperature. Your feet are toasty, you're toasty. Bizarre, right? But you gotta take care of your feet. Gotta take care of your feet. You cannot get your boots wet. Very bad. But anyway, I guess that's a little bit of a short babble. But that's my history of being in the middle of nowhere. And doesn't matter who I've guided for, was always the one complaining. It came to an end at the end of the season. It's like, oh man, it's over. Damn it. So, yeah, I think if I ever was stuck in a situation like that, being in a contest like that, it would be either screwing up with a big predator and getting injured or killed, or breaking a limb. I can't see any other reason to want to go home, to want to get out of there myself. Ravens. Hope they're not eating a chicken. We got a bunch of baby chickens out there. They were hatched naturally in the coop from the hens. But anyway, alright, I'm babbling. I'm all over the map. I've got a bunch of things to do today to get ready to go. And I'm going to get more voices heard here. I'll keep you guys posted if those people get back to me. They probably won't. Who knows? But one thing, though, what I'm envisioning, if I actually did get the opportunity to do something like that, I don't know. The thing that would bother me is missing out on life that I have hammered out here. If I would do it. So obviously it's probably going to cross over hunting season. For me, is that worth $1 million to miss out on a season of what I normally do, running around the woods in the mountains of British Columbia? That's a tough one. That'd be a tough decision for me, because we are all losing time every single day. Once you lose that time, you'll never get it back. So that would be the one big challenge for me, would be to really think about it. Is it worth a few months of discomfort for some money compared to losing a few months of what I absolutely love to do with my time here? Meaning, especially during the fall, would I donate a fall for money? $1 million. Honest to God, that's a tough one. I'm not sure yet. We'll see if that decision ever comes and hits my lap. We'll see, and I'll show you guys. I'll videotape making that decision and share everything with you guys. Now, here we go. Who do we got? A little bit of interruption there. Had to whip to town and back. I think some of these are recent. Let's listen to this. Hello from Kurdistan, Iraq. We're reaching out, aren't we? Hi, Steve. Although not Sasquatch related, I understand you have experienced a near fatal occurrence a few times. An interesting event changed my mind forever. Death is not the end. I want to share with you something I cannot explain, but it happened clear as day. Firstly, I'm an atheist, former EMT from years ago who has witnessed a lot of death and suffering. Currently, I am a HSE and security manager in Kurdistan, Iraq. Wow. While I lived in Saudi, working for Aramco, I used to trek into the desert by myself, treasure hunting with a metal detector. Wow, that'd be crazy. Finding many ancient coins from the Bronze Age. Wow. After airing down my tires, heading across the dunes, I spotted a wind-blown area of ground. I drove down and parked to have a look for broken pottery shards, the key indicator. As I was walking around, it was quite windy, but directly behind me, I clearly heard a young girl's voice. About 12 to 15 words, but not Arabic or English, some language I've never heard. Thinking some Bedouin was camped on the backside of the nearest dune and the wind carried the voice, I grabbed my binoculars and started up the dune. As soon as I got to the top, I was alone for 20 kilometers around me. All the hair on my neck stood straight up. No doubt. Not in fear, but the unknown. It was right then that I realized the clearing over from this one was a location where I lost a large, deep target over 2 years previously. I did not have a GPS then. Was this spirit, or whatever the hell it was, telling me I'd found the spot? I have no idea. But I was truly a believer of the afterlife. There is something we still do not understand, but I know for a fact after this, our energy remains. Now, this area has thousands of burial mounds and was the oldest ancient oasis on Earth, called Al-Hofaf Oasis, or Al-Hassa. It was the primary supply of food and fresh water from the coast 60 kilometers away. Sadly, I cannot locate the target, as sand had covered the exact spot. Shit, it was something big but deep. And years previously, after digging for 2 hours in soft sand and plus 52 degrees Celsius weather, I gave up. It was lost. From that time, I knew death is not final. There was no mistaking what occurred that morning, and I was amazed. I spent the night camped out there, but had no further contact. Just wanted to share. Thanks for your great vids. I like the straight shooter, no bullshit type of people. All the best. P.S. I chuckled when I heard about your near-death experience. I had similar. Laying in an emergency room, I just started laughing at my predicament, thinking, really? This is how my story ends? I must do more. Alright, well, there you go. That was short. Interesting coming from over there. Wow. And metal detecting. I wonder how, I'm surprised they let the locals let you do that. Right? I'm surprised you're, and we don't know much, I don't know much about over there. All I know is what I have seen in the news in the past. It doesn't seem like the safest place for North America at times, but I'm not very educated on the geography and the current political attitudes over there. Sounds interesting, man. You've got some stories, no doubt. I'd like to hear more. Alright, what's this one? Mark this as read. Retired Shrink Weighs In is the title of this email. Occam's razor. All things being equal, the simplest explanation tends to be the right one. What if we are complicating this too much? Giving the evil too much attention / credit, ultimately power. What do all these categories of things have in common? Cryptids, black-eyed children / adults, and all the specters and types of encounters. Black-eyed children, I think that's kind of new here. ETs, the vast majority of them are negative, or at least neutral. Some horribly so. Even the positive ones can be done simply to cloud the issue, and very few can honestly be said to improve the contactee's life. There are a few stories of people being helped, but they are by far the minority. Maybe there are exceptions, I don't know. Just spitballing here. But it seems to me that if we apply Occam's razor, then you are looking at good versus evil. OCCAMS, razor. What do we know that is evil and can impersonate anyone or anything, can masquerade as a being of light, and usually needs permission to involve itself with a person? Demons. They can and have been known to do all of these things and more. They respond to the name of Jesus. You keep asking, quote, why are we being lied to? End quote. Who's in power? You keep calling them evil, soulless bastards, among other things. Then these creatures would be their allies, sowing confusion and distraction and drama all over the place, sucking people dry, costing their lives in some cases. Most religious traditions believe a battle is coming, and the Bible outlines this thoroughly. All the world will pare down to two sides, good versus evil, according to many spiritual people. The pairing is already well along the way to being complete. The time for fence sitting is done. You've mentioned many times if they wanted to take over the world without losing much of their own blood, all they would have to do would be to get us fighting amongst ourselves, and we would do the work for them. That brilliant clip where you pretended to be two of them, talking and laughing about getting us fighting over the number of genders there are? Well, what if these are their shock troops, positioning themselves for the big battle? That piece, chapter 13 of Isaiah, that the one listener sent in the other day and you read, seemed to lay out that very thing. Are they here before the main event to stir up more trouble and chaos? Probably. That is what demons do. You said yourself the numbers of sightings/encounters is increasing. I don't think I said that myself. Somebody said it here. All I said is I do believe that it seems there are more sightings because of the internet and our reach, and we can now talk to each other. But I've never said that it's increasing myself. Most of those with spiritual gifts say we're coming to something big and soon. They can feel it. I would love to be wrong. I would love to find out that the good Sabe are real and the bad ones are the minority. Just like we're seeing those that are awake to it in our own people. We've been lied to so long we started to believe the good guys were the minority. I don't believe that's so. I guess we'll find out. Yes, I have had encounters, though not as dramatic as many that have written in, and I wasn't scared by them. Sorry, I wasn't scarred by them. And it hasn't kept me out of the woods. My failing health has done that. Maybe I'll write about them sometime. I am not sharing my name to protect former patients and family, not myself. Yes, I really am a retired shrink, and I use that title because it irked so many of my stuffed shirt former colleagues. And no, I never told any client that shared supernatural encounters with me that they were crazy. Nor did I ever share them. I once protected a child the school wanted to force medicate because she saw things. Oh, hold on a minute. It turned out she had medicine woman gifts, and that was very rare for a woman in that particular tribe. We found her a teacher and got her out of the public school system. Oh, happy dance. Today, many years later, she is a healthy and productive member of her community and an accomplished healer. Yeah, how many of those potential solid frickin' assets to any community got trashed because of the... Alright, I'll bite my lip. Thank you for what you're doing. It is far more important than you realize, in my humble opinion. Steve. While I don't agree with you on everything, whoever said we had to, by the way, I both like and respect you. Keep up the good fight. Don't needlessly stick your neck out. Pray. You'll be guided to when, how, and where to act when it's time. And trust me, there will be a time. God bless you and Sarah and all your loved ones, both two and four-legged, and may our beloved God and Father, Son of the Holy Spirit, shield, protect, defend, and guide you all the days of your life. In Jesus' most holy name. All right. Appreciate your email and the kind words and the words of encouragement. What do you mean you don't agree with me with everything? That means I have to block you, right? Said no properly firing mind ever. Appreciate your email. Email's back anytime. You got something that's going to help the people here, alright? Email back anytime. Alright, what else do we got? This one is titled Long Overdue. Alright, it's probably going to be from a fence sitter. Hello, Steve. Writing from just west of the Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, on the north shore of Lake Superior, otherwise known as Gitche Gummy by First Nations. Boy, oh boy, I don't know where to start, and I hope you don't find this email too long, but I hope you'll soldier through, and I do promise to keep future emails much shorter. Regardless, enjoy. Having followed your channel for several years now, I'm finally getting around to writing you. I love what you and those who bravely write in on the subject of the Sabe people are helping reveal. Keep it up. Watching your footage brings up lots of memories for me, as I spent 20 years out that way, though I have returned with my wife about 6 years ago to the Sioux area. I have a strong connection to the land, as does my lineage here. I'm mostly of Celtic blood, which prior to having knowledge of or any proper understanding, I showed a big interest in poetry, and music as a young man. Learning that I was an Irish descendant was profound, and learning of the history was very interesting. Whenever I get the chance to speak to the local native elders, I tell the story of the Irish and how they had their language, rights, and land infringed upon as well. My First Nations are in the know of hardships of the Irish, and I was told there is a monument in County Cork, Ireland, made of feathers from the Canadian First Nations in acknowledgement of the hardships the Irish endured. Yeah, the Irish got hammered on, and I believe they were also some of the first slaves ever as well. I believe many of the harsh tactics used against the Irish and other cultures around the world were also brought to North America with a similar agenda, without a doubt. This by no means to muster hate towards the English, as I feel the true enemy of humanity is operating beyond any one group of people as a whole. Its tentacles are many. I like to mention that I feel that all people can learn of their ancestors' background, other than those DNA kits, by following one's intuition and looking at certain clues that I believe will pop up. Prayers help us as well. In my youth, I took up the tin whistle as a teenager, but over the years gravitated towards the native flute. I used my flute and other music instruments for sound healing events, and I see clients one-on-one in healing sessions in person and long distance. I quit my job a couple years ago due to the harassment I endured around not taking the jab, as I refused to disclose my personal medical info to the school board I worked for. Besides all that, I believe I'm on the path set out by Creator/God set forth for me, as difficult as it's been at times. My French-Canadian blood is of an early explorer, Jean Nicolas, who married the daughter of brave Nipissing, of the Nipissing people. Jean was known by the Ojibwe as Thunder Hands, as he carries 2 pistols, as they never seen firearms before. He wore oriental robes as he believed he was going to find a way to the Orient, but came across the area I write you from just north of the UP of Michigan, known as the Sioux. Ojibwe for water over rock. He is known to have made peace between the 2 tribes from opposite sides of Lake Michigan, as he brought one tribe across the lake to meet the other in peace. He is said to have drowned close to Montreal trying to save an Iroquois. Anyhow, growing up here, I had a strong connect to the land, and I often volunteered at Native POWs, in my youth. Now getting to Sabe. After years of being out your way, Steve, having hiked many mountaintop, fished many rivers like the Stamp, Squamish, Fraser, I really do miss it. Damn flies. I was struck down by lightning twice. Once tree planting up past Quesnel, no joke, and once recently here in Ontario. No way. With all my adventures and ups and downs, like I said, I now find myself back home in the land I feel connected to the strongest. Excuse me. I live with my wife in a beautiful log house with a couple of acres of thick forest. While helping a native buddy collect firewood on the Ojibwe Reserve last year, I mentioned Sabe to him, and he looked at me in utter shock, simply saying, "Do you believe in?" My friend is a local fire keeper, as the natives run healing ceremonies for locals and other First Nations from off reserve here. He told me that while visiting, that a visiting native elder who does much healing work said to him, "Go meet them in the woods." Having been advised of such, he set out to a location in the back of reserve with two other guys. There were two cabins at the destination, and while having a smoke on the back deck on his own, he said he heard a voice, separate than his own, in his head, clearly say, "Get the fearful one away from here." Let me read that one more time. Clearly say in his head, quote, "Get the fearful one away from here," end quote. As one of his chums was very nervous for some reason being in the woods. He asked the guy to go hang out in the cabin further away. He did so, and my friend returned to the spot. He heard the mind speak. It was dark at night, and after a few moments he spotted two pairs of eyes glowing at him in the woods. The voice returned and said, "You're not like the others. You're not scared of us." He said back in his mind, "No, I'm not. Can you show yourself to me?" He said they replied, "Now is not yet the time for that." The way he told me the stories with a serious, no BS tone. No way do I feel he would make this up. Besides, I know he takes his obligations and cultural ways very serious and lives a pure lifestyle as I do myself. This leads to my final story for today. Recently, an ex-cop from Southern Ontario who hunts moose up this way wrote to you, Steve, about the very area I've been doing my bird hunts over the last few years, where he claimed to have seen a sabe. One fall day 2 years ago in the same region, I was in a real good mood and set out for a hunt for the day. I had my grandpa's .22 Winchester, and I'd done a series of prayers and energy clearings over myself. I was north of the Sioux, just past Northland Lake off Ranger Lake Road at Stony Creek. I wasn't very far in, maybe a kilometer, when I heard wood knocks. At first I thought nothing of it, and then I froze in my tracks thinking, this must be what I've heard of Sabe doing. I felt that the knocks were for sure meant to get my attention, as there were many at first, but not in the same tone as a woodpecker at all, so that was ruled out. I scrambled to find a couple of rocks to bang together. I did so hurriedly and immediately felt embarrassed that the energy I conveyed was of a hurried, nervous energy. What a poor way to represent myself, I thought. There was a long pause, and then I heard a single return knock, to which I returned a single knock. Again a long pause, then a return knock. My heart started beating out of my chest, as I was in the realization, with nobody else around, I was in communication with a sabe. I just felt it in my soul. We went back and forth for a short time longer. I decided to continue on my walk. It was a beautiful fall day. Hours later, and at which point I had forgotten the earlier incident, I saw that I was nearing the area once again where I had heard the knocks. As I was passing through, I suddenly had a loud owl call blast into my left ear. I looked up into the leafless trees and I didn't see an owl at all. I met a First Nations elder after this happening. He confirmed that this was a sabe that was interacting with me. Previous to this occurrence, I should mention that while on a secondary trail that runs parallel to the main trail, overlooking the gorgeous Stony Creek, is a large boulder I refer to as Grandfather Rock. I've been gifting small items there and played my native flute often with no response, and had previously given up, though I still had stopped to play my flute from time to time. Just this last fall, after the wood knock experience, a massive pine tree that was located closer towards the creek had fallen across the far side of Grandfather Rock, about 7 feet past. It appeared to block the lower trail, but I discovered I was able to still get through, despite the fact that many other trees were taken out all around the area from the pine having come down. I never thought much of it until what I discovered this spring. On returning to the area where the wood knocks occurred, I was shocked to have noticed a teepee-like structure at the entrance to the lower trail on the way to Grandfather. I've entered this trail several times over the years, and there is no way I overlooked this structure that now exists. This time I had my video camera, which takes excellent audio as well, and did document. What is bizarre is the way the teepee-like structure is so skillfully held together. Perfect alignment and balanced at the base. What's also telling is a very long, thin, live tree that is looped over top of the teepee, adding pressure on the top of the other tree supports from above. The looped tree is pinned down on the ground by clearly placed deadwood, and also is weaved through other existing ground fall. The tree structure as a whole now acts as an entrance point to the lower trail to Grandfather Rock. Steve, I can't help but to feel and think that massive pine that come down in the fall was done by them to block the other side of the boulder. For what reason, I'm unclear. To create privacy, I wonder. Though nobody is even ever around. Or is it to make the area more sacred with their special touch? Perhaps to create ambience, or is this simply a way of acknowing their presence? I think you meant acknowledging their presence. I've also noticed a fresh piece of white birch bark pushed through a long, thin branch, which there is no way the wind did that. I spotted a large, deep print in the forest floor close to the downed pine tree as well. Each time I've returned, I've clearly asked in my mind and heart, I know you're real. Just please don't scare the crap out of me. LOL. I spent an evening camping about 1 kilometer east of this location and could hear what sounded like a wild dog barking and some strange grunts, unlike a dog or anything I know of, all towards the area of Grandfather Rock. That night I hear a so-called bird-like call just as I fell asleep, and in my mind thought, that ain't no bird. Meanwhile, back at home, I found a large wishbone-shaped branch placed against a large maple tree, very intentionally, I feel, that I never noticed before. The wishbone seemed to be a theme as of late, and I don't think I'm losing my marbles. Recently I noticed a very peculiar branch shaped like an S for Sean, I feel, positioned elegantly on a limb, with a wishbone twig dangling over top. More to the background of the wishbone phenomena, which started out your way in North Vancouver with the finding of a dream catcher in the woods, and other stories another time. As this email is long, and I hope I have worn you and your listeners out. Thanks for your time, and I'll try to do my best to update what I learn of these forest people and share other past stories as well. If any of your listeners are interested in learning more of my services, they can email me. Okay, I don't know what you're doing. All right, sorry, man. All right, Sean, appreciate it. Sounds like you're picking up on the clues we've already had slapped in our faces a million times, too, by the way. Not that, I don't mean that to be demeaning in any way. I'm just saying there's nothing new going on there that you're seeing and experiencing, right? With the shit pile of people. The mind speak, that's something I haven't experienced, and I know I potentially may have the opportunity, if I can ever get time, to travel down the States and go investigate it for myself. We'll see. Let me get one more read, alright? If you learn anything, Sean, that you believe we haven't learned here yet and it could help the people here, share away, alright? Share away. Be careful. Be careful what you ask for out there. One more. This one's titled Returning for the Migration. Hey Steve, hope this email finds you, the family, and the farm well. Can't thank you enough for the information that you have shared with all of us in the round table, and everyone that has written in should know how much we appreciate their contribution. Thank you for the kind words, man. Glasses are bent. Now for my 2 cents. I live in Northwest Florida, the Panhandle. I have lived in Northwest Florida, the Panhandle, Lower Alabama, beautiful beaches and bayous, not humid pine forests and swamps. I have a friend that lives on a small farm about an hour north of Panama City. He's a bladesmith and keeps strange hours. He's up all night to take advantage of cooler temps so he can be around the forge. Across from his place is a large field, hundreds of acres with about 150 head of cattle, which is bordered by the Choctawhatchee River. Had to throw that in for shits and giggles. As he was shutting everything down and returning to his place, he began to hear howls and started to record. He called the next day. This is around the first week of July 2022. My roommate and I immediately tried to figure out when we could get out there next, and within a week we were there. Now, I'm 52 and my roommate is 23. Just a college kid renting a room, but we both have the Bigfoot bug and we've dove down some rabbit holes that have left us even more confused and amazed. Back to the point. We arrived at the farm and no one was at the property. They had gone on vacation while their house was being built. A small 2-bedroom black house with a metal roof, just the shell, is what was present. My friend's small shop and a carport was behind the house being built. I'm telling you all this because we needed power for all the equipment my millennial roommate had brought, camera, mic, and we were sorting through all the drop cords that were laying around due to construction. After finding a usable cord, I wanted to walk around the house and show him a few things, particularly the nasty pit bull across the dirt road in the neighbor's yard. As we turned around to walk back to where he had set up the equipment, the most visceral sound hit my body and ears. My best description is the sound male lion/tigers make, the deep guttural snarl growl. It vibrated my clothes and my body. I clearly remember looking at my roommate and saying, "Did you feel that?" We both had headlamps on and scoured the immediate area. I felt like the growl came from only feet away. Was the sawbay cloaked and nearby, or was it infrasound that was projecting at us? Or was it a gator? As critics of my story pointed out. However, we were miles from the swamp and rivers and there was no sign of one. And hold on, it gets better. My roommate remembers the whole incident completely differently. He heard the growl but says it happened at a different time and place on the property. Of course, the incident wasn't recorded because we had just set up the equipment and plugged it in, and I was just showing him around. The part that I can't come to grips with is, which one of us is right? Was I somewhere he wasn't? So, it's now been a year and we are going back out to the farm to see if anything might happen again. I know a lot of y'all don't approve of the search, but my quest to know more fuels my curiosity, and yeah, I know about the cat. This time we're going a little more prepared. Firstly, start recording miles before we arrive. Secondly, just camp and enjoy ourselves. No tree knocking or IR cameras. We're working on getting a thermal. Again, we're not actively seeking them out, but want to be aware of them in and around our friend's property. That's all I have for now, but I'll write a follow-up of whether anything happens or not. P.S. I've had my roommate send you his portfolio in order to help you with your recording studio. If I was younger, I'd already be on your porch like Fight Club. Take care, Sean Broom. Okay, you take care too, Sean. Thanks for the email. See what comes, I guess. Dogs barking, neighbors cutting the lawn, kids on quads. Pretty active here during the daytime when there's no school. Anyways, I gotta get going. I gotta pack my stuff and get ready to go. Coincidentally, I'm charging all of my camera equipment and batteries out on the shop too. I gotta get all my stuff together. It's funny, when I had a few minutes out while this video started, then I had to leave. And I was talking to Sarah's daughter about the alone thing, and I'm thinking about it, and I was really seriously thinking about it and picturing it. And I was picturing losing a few months of time for what? For some money, you know what I mean? And but more, I don't mean just time, but the fall is my personal favorite time of my existence. And what I have planned this year, I know a lot of you people out there are also fellow outdoors people, so what I have planned for me this year is definitely going elk hunting. Probably alone, maybe not. And I'm putting together my trip right now. I'm going to fly into a very remote place. I'm going to bring my blow-up inflatable boat, small 20-horse outboard. I'm going to bring jugs of fuel. I'm going to hire a big beaver float plane to jam it packed with all my shit, fuel, small generator. I'm going to bring the Skylink. I'm going to bring all my crap, my backpack stuff for going way up in the mountains after sheep. And I'm going to go for the trip of what could be considered the trip of a lifetime for somebody. And I'm trying to picture if somebody said to me, hey man, you got to miss the whole fall. How much would it cost for you to miss this whole fall, all your plans and all your life? $1 million bucks do it? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it from that angle. I'm like, ooh, what if this is the last time I can do this? What if I get in a car accident this year and I can't do this ever again? What if this is my last? What if I die this coming up year? You know what I mean? I think a lot. I think about things and decisions that way a lot lately. It's like, what if I die? You know, when Sarah and I traveled to Southeast Asia last winter, and it was becoming very difficult to find a way there. And I said, there's no way, we're not going. What if we're dead next year? If we die next year and we don't get to go and experience this again and we love to do, I'm going to be really pissed off. So I make sure I do what we love to do while alive. And I don't think, let's just say that show said, hey man, you want to come out and be on the show? You're going to be gone for the whole fall of whatever. And I'd really have to do some heavy thinking about that and why I would be doing the show, because I don't need to prove to myself that I can do it. I already know I can do it. My whole life's been doing it, right? So why would I do that? Do I want to be in front of a lens on television? No, that's not a factor for sure. I don't know. The challenge? I like to challenge myself, but I don't know. I mean, I've already done that. There's no way I wouldn't thrive. There's no way. $1 million bucks? That could be handy, I guess. But the bills are paid, and I'm not the guy that needs a Rolex or a private box at some stadium somewhere. I don't give a shit. We got food, and the bills are paid. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be some serious thinking. Let's just put it this way. It'd be some serious thinking if it came down to it and I got the call. Hey, you want to come? I'd be like, when is it? And if they said, oh, probably September, October, November, then I'd be like, let me think about this. Right? Let me think about this. We'll see. It's a funny topic to talk about anyway, right? So, here we go. Next time you see my ugly mug will be somewhere remote. Maybe on the water, maybe not. It won't be inside. Share my story at howtohunt.com. That's where you get your experiences. Share it word for word. There you go. Back shortly.